pain is not a direct result of any sensory input, and you don't even need sensory input to produce pain. After pursuing a healthcare role specifically dedicated to pain management and having the lived experience myself, I now reflect back upon my journey and I notice how many doctors, physios, exercise physiologists, chiropractors, physicians, how many of them actually didn't understand pain properly when they were treating me, and how that actually was a big role in me struggling so much to find relief. So typically, a lot of healthcare professionals operate in what we call a purely biomedical view of pain, and they would always equate tissue damage to pain. They would always have this very robust or strong idea that any signal or any impulse coming from any bodily area, they would always equate this to pain. And I'm sure you might have heard the terms pain pathway, pain signal, pain detector, but actually these are completely untrue terms. There are no pain pathways in our body, there are no pain detectors. So most doctors who operate in a biomedical model, they equate this with pain. But actually, this signal is not pain, and our bodies don't detect pain. They may detect danger, but they don't detect pain. You don't even need the signal from your body, from your knee, from your back, from your foot. You don't even need that to create pain. A perfect, beautiful example to illustrate this to you is phantom pain. So have you heard of veterans or people like that who have maybe lost a limb, but they still feel pain? So they are not getting that sensory input. They are not getting those signals, but yet they still feel pain. That pain is actually created at a higher level within your brain. I never want to underscore the importance of biology when it comes to pain, because especially if we have been in chronic pain for a long time, we get better at producing it. You know, the synapses between cells become more efficient through a process called long-term potentiation. We also get more receptors or ions in the channels of nerves that detect certain stimuli. And you know, if you've had an acute injury, like you've fallen off a horse or you've had a car accident, there's definitely a biological component. So I never want to underscore that, but I want to emphasize the very important point that pain is not a direct result of any sensory input, and you don't even need sensory input to produce pain. So let's say you've struggled with a sore back or a sore knee for a long time. You have nerves going to that part of your body, and at the end of those nerves, we have receptors. And those receptors can pick up any change in your body, whether it's mechanical or chemical or maybe thermal. But they detect these things. They don't detect pain. And they send messages to the spinal cord through something that we call an action potential. And in the spinal cord, these messages undergo a lot of modulation. And these signals may or may not go up to your brain. So if these signals from your tissues, from your knee or whatever it may be, if they go to your brain, do they immediately result in pain? Definitely not. Your brain takes these signals and it integrates these signals with so many other things. It integrates these signals with memories, with future events that you anticipate, with things that happen in your past, with people in your life, with the thoughts that you have in your head and your cognitions and the things that you think and believe. So your brain integrates that signal from your body with so much other information. This is where a new model comes into play. And this model is called the biopsychosocial model. And this model emphasizes the idea that in multiple human experiences, including the experience of pain, our brain draws upon not just biological factors, so not just the signal from the tissue, but it also draws upon psychological factors and social factors. There's no one brain part. We don't have a pain node. Just like your grandmother is distributed all over your brain, pain is also an experience involving multiple different areas. And if you've experienced pain for a long time, it becomes better and better and better at producing pain. So think about it as almost like a song that's been on repeat for a long time. You have a playlist in your head, and let's call it the pain playlist. And you've been playing the song for a long time, and your brain has been getting better and better and better at producing the song. So it's more efficient, it's louder every time you play it. But here's where the beauty comes in. We are the most remarkable, complex, and adaptable creatures. Even at an older age, we can change the way our brain behaves through a process called bioplasticity. So it was previously thought that, only babies could really change the structure of their brains. But even us as adults, we have the ability to change the way our brain functions. And we have the ability to introduce new songs into our playlist. We have trillions of brain cells. We have old cells dying all the time, and we have new cells being created. You know, you are creating cells in your brain right until your last breath. How beautiful and amazing is that? So we have the ability to introduce new tracks into our playlist, and it does take some courage and it takes some patience. And you have to look in places that you originally wouldn't expect. There are no such things as pain detectors, pain pathways, or pain messages. We have information from our tissues, but ultimately in the end, it's the brain that decides whether or not we experience pain. Our brain is the big boss. So hopefully from this video, you've understood a little bit about the difference between a biomedical model and a biopsychosocial model and how different they are. And hopefully you feel a bit more empowered. Hopefully you know that pain is not, an exact representation of what's going on in your tissues. I'd love to hear about your experience. Did you also encounter doctors who didn't understand pain in the same way that more modern thinking scientists and more modern thinking clinicians explain pain? I just like to end on a final note and let you know that, I know that it can be really rough, but just by engaging in processes like this to seek out information and to empower yourself, you're really taking a proactive approach. So let's do this together. If you have any questions, feel free to drop me an email, and I look forward to chatting to you again.